big is the industry in which you do business? A pause from the posts of Dr. Strive Masiwa. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. As 2021 draws to a close and you focus your planning on 2022, I want you to reflect deeply on this question. How big is the industry in which I do business, locally and globally? Many entrepreneurs don't really stop to reflect on the size of the industry of which they are a part. When I started Econet Wireless nearly 30 years ago, I could see the size of the business opportunity in Africa, let alone Zimbabwe and Botswana. I never thought I would make Zimbabwe successful, and then I would lay back and enjoy the riches. I was anxious to get out and expand outside because all I could see was this huge market in Kenya, Zambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania. I was already scouting out these markets when I was still in Zimbabwe with just a small business. I also knew how big the global industry was because every single day I read articles about companies like AT&T, Vodafone and China Mobile. I followed their deals and tried to learn about products and innovations they were developing. I was one of the first people to launch the prepaid payment system in Africa after learning about it in an article when it was just an innovation in Israel. As I looked at the industry further, I could see opportunities beyond Africa and yearned to get to Europe, Asia and even the Americas. When you understand how big your industry is, you will also see that its opportunities are endless. You can diversify and pivot within that industry without ever having to leave and join another industry. Why do I think of the property business? I think it's great, but it's not my game. What do I think of the oil business? I think it is great, but it's not my game. What do I think of the agriculture business? Very important, but it's not my own game. Sometimes, for reasons beyond my control, I might have found myself owning a business outside my industry, but as soon as I get a chance, I am out. I loved our Coca-Cola bottling, newspapers, our hotels, etc. But I got out as soon as I could, even though they were very profitable. Why? Not my game. When I was in a junior school, I played every sport, but when I was in my final senior year, I was only playing rugby in the senior team. Yes, I could play soccer and cricket and even swim, but every day we trained for rugby. Investors generally don't like to invest in a business that is in multiple industries. If you go to such companies on the stock exchange, you will find that generally they trade at a discount. If you think you know the size, scope and opportunities offered by the industry you are in, then you are really a beginner. I know some of you will want to immediately point me to big guys in your local market who seem to do everything and they always seem basked up. But if truth be told, they are not that big. Just don't tell them that. Actually, you might even think of how you can build things the industry has not yet seen. That is where I want your mindset to be as you launch into 2022. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. Jonathan Swift. Afterthought. By the darkness, stars are revealed. Yvette Kauter. I know for so many of you this has been a really tough year again. Don't lose heart. When I started Econet in Zimbabwe, I hired an HR manager who was very experienced and I really liked him. One day I was watching through an office window and I noticed him talking casually with a small group of people. A few weeks later, I identified a younger person that had been in the group he was talking to. It's my only sister's son and he just finished his high school. It's my duty to help him, he explained. Every younger person across this country is my sister's only child, and since I only have one job available, I choose on merit, I explained. Before firing him and his nephew, our cultural approach in HR across Africa, both in the government sector and the private sector, often undermines our need to develop strong and competent institutions. It cannot be that the moment you get a job, the first thing you want to do is surround yourself with relatives. And it cannot be that the moment you want a job, you want a kinsman to help you. Then you say to me, how else will we get jobs and opportunities? Then I ask, how else will we end this corruption we so desperately want to get rid of? What sacrifice shall we make, and who will start first? Now in your own business, you can hire your relatives and friends. It's your business and it's not corrupt to do so. But if you really want to grow into a big company, at some point you must wean yourself away from depending on relatives and friends. It is hard, I know, but at least think about it. Something they don't tell you in school in many African countries. When I was at primary school, our teachers proudly told us about the natural wealth of our country. We could all recite about the minerals such as copper and cobalt. The problem we were told was that the government did not get us its lion's share from the sale of these minerals from the foreign countries that owned the mines. The little that we, the people, through our government got was stolen by corrupt officials. Real jobs, we were told, were either in government or working for the mines. No one mentioned private enterprises, entrepreneurship, or even paying of taxes by every citizen. No one mentioned the foreign direct investment, FDI. What for? Success in agriculture was lots of land and a good rainfall. No one mentioned the skills except in passing. The idea of innovation was and remains outside our educational system. No one told us we could innovate our nations to prosperity as well. We used fuzzy notions like value add and beneficiation, a word not found in any modern economic thinking. Our own teachers were barely out of high school themselves and really could not have been expected to understand how the real economy works. As we grow older, and certainly by the time we leave high school, we are supposed to have a deep understanding of how an economy really works. Unfortunately, many of us never expand our understanding much beyond what our junior school teachers told us. It becomes our working life knowledge. We should know, for instance, that there are nations with no natural resources, to speak of that are wealthy, prosperous nations. Having a lot of natural resources is only half the story. The role each one of us plays in developing an economy is much more complex. We must all pay tax, whether rich or poor, and we must be proud to do so. We must all want to see every citizen able to pay taxes by having dignified jobs. What an amazing testimony. Sharon Nkunike writes, Strive Masiyiwa, because of joining this platform at its inception, when I was at school, I knew entrepreneurship was my path. Deep down, I agreed. I learned and related with every post. I was also exposed to the world through articles. I just shocked in everything you would say. When I graduated as a chartered accountant, I worked for 3 years, but left to set up my own business, cosmetic company. Everyone thought I was crazy then. I was also going by masters in accounting and finance when I quit. My company is now a market leader in my location, and you challenged me by responding to me directly about Estee Lauder and how big my vision is. I went on to buy a book by Leonard Lauder to understand how they grew. I'm also appreciative of the values you have taught us, such as integrity, and I'm so grateful for you. God richly bless you, sir. My reply: this is so humbling for me. I am so happy I was able to have this influence on you. Make sure you do a course in marketing, particularly digital marketing. This industry is bigger in Africa than the telecom sector or even oil. It will mint several billionaires in just the next 20 years. I have you. I hope you will be one of them. God bless you. Kevin Jones writes, Strive Masiwa, I want to venture into livestock on a small budget for broilers and pigs with constrained capital. What should be my driving force or motivation for 2022? My reply: ultimately, you must choose only one thing and focus yourself to acquiring knowledge about that particular industry. Is it chickens or is it pigs? These are wildly different sectors and they require different skills. Skills come from study, reading about it, and experience, learning from the knowledge of those who do it well. And finally, your own observation from doing. A few years ago, a man approached our bank about support for a poultry project. It was for access to our Reimagine Rural initiative. I was intrigued by his proposal and I asked to see him when I was in South Africa. He told me he had a degree in poultry industry. On the basis of that alone, I ordered our people to consider his request immediately.